In the opening scene of the movie, a king of Aurea Kingdom sets out with his soldiers through the hills chasing after a dragon to a cave in the mountains. In that cave, the king finds something else that leaves him in shock, and as a result, the dragon appears and proceeds to throw his breath fire, burning all the soldiers, and then one by one catching and killing all the king's soldiers. Then, the king kneels in front of the dragon, where the dragon looks at the king, and then the story unfolds centuries later. In a faraway land, where we see Princess Elodie of a poor kingdom cutting through the woods with a sword, and there her sister Floria also appears. Elodie tells her sister that our people are dying of hunger and cold. We need to gather more firewood. Meanwhile, they see a royal carriage heading towards their palace. Since they never get visitors, they rushed back to their home and finds her their father, Lord Bayford, and stepmother Lady Bayford talking to a nun. Before leaving, the nun stares at her for a moment and tells her parents that she will do. Her father then tells her that it is a proposal from the Prince of the Aurea Kingdom. Her father was overjoyed because he felt that if this proposal happens, it would change the current situation of his kingdom. Despite not wanting to, Elodie agreed to this marriage in order to change the situation in her own kingdom. As they embarked on their journey to another kingdom, they encountered a sea storm and witnessed dragon statues on the island. Eventually, they arrived at the Grand Palace, which Elodie admired greatly. It was much larger than her own palace. A royal servant warmly welcomed her and showed her to her rooms for rest. That night, as she stood on the balcony, she noticed a distant fire in the mountains. The next morning, the queen informed Elodie's dad that she agreed to the relationship and they would be getting married the following day. She wanted to discuss it further with him. Subsequently, the prince and Elodie had a conversation where she asked if he was forcing her into this marriage. He assured her that he was not and expressed his admiration for her beauty. As they continued their conversation, they reached a hill where Elodie mentioned the fire she had seen in the mountains. The prince explained that those mountains held great significance and that they would visit a cave there for some old rituals after their wedding. In the next scene, Elodie's dad appeared visibly upset after meeting the queen. When Elodie's mom inquired about his worries, he decided not to share anything and instead spoke to the queen. However, the queen displayed arrogance and refused to engage in conversation, dismissing Elodie's mom due to her origins from a small kingdom. The queen then gathered her two daughters and expressed her concerns about an impending disaster. During their discussion, Elodie's dad arrived, taking her mom away, indicating that they too had something to hide. In the following scene, Elodie's marriage with the prince is shown. Elodie and the prince were heading towards the mountains where she had witnessed a fire a few days earlier. The prince had informed Elodie about some rituals that would take place there. Upon reaching a cave inside the mountain, they found the people of the kingdom already waiting for them. The queen informed Elodie about a dragon residing in the cave that had caused significant destruction in the kingdom a century ago. The king had decided to seek revenge on the dragon. They had come to the cave to confront the dragon. However, the dragon was extremely dangerous. No one had ever been able to defeat it, not even the king. To save his life, the king had made a pact with the dragon to offer his 3 daughters to the dragon. Since then, the dragon had not attacked the kingdom. The ritual had been performed ever since. The queen, prince, and Elodie made a cut on their hands and intertwined them, signifying unity. The prince carried Elodie in his arms. Elodie felt embarrassed yet happy, uncertain of what would happen next. The prince suddenly dropped Elodie into a pit, causing her to faint upon impact. Upon regaining consciousness, Elodie called for help. Her voice awakened the sleeping dragon in the cave. When no one came to her aid, Elodie decided to climb out of the pit, struggling due to the slippery surface. She noticed various girls' belongings scattered around. Suddenly, Elodie spotted fire in the air, realizing that flying insects were being burned by the dragon's flames. Terrified by the sight of the dragon, Elodie was questioned by the dragon. "What is your name?" After revealing her name, the dragon informed her that she was there as part of a deal, and that he would end her life that day due to the royal blood he sensed in her. Before any harm could befall her, Elodie fled from the cave. As the dragon spots her fleeing, it unleashes its fiery gaze upon her. Elodie reaches a small cave while trying to escape, but unfortunately, she couldn't avoid the dragon's flames entirely. Her foot suffered a severe burn. Quickly, she rips her clothes to fashion a bandage for her injured foot. Determined not to give up, Elodie knows she must flee this place no matter what. She stands up and begins to explore her surroundings. Along the way, she notices a faint blue light. Intrigued, she follows the light until she discovers it emanating from a tree. Elodie desires to approach the tree, but a massive cave blocks her path. With the dragon behind her, the cave lies ahead. She must make a choice. Contemplating jumping, a misstep nearly costs her life as she teeters on the edge of the cave. Using the knife in her possession, she manages to save herself and reaches the other side of the cave. The blue light, which she thought was from the tree, turns out to be tiny glowing insects on its branches. Once again, Elodie tears her dress to create a makeshift lantern by trapping the insects inside. Further along, she discovers a small glass of water. Just as she is about to drink, the dragon reappears, breathing fire. Elodie flees once more and seeks refuge in another small cave. The dragon taunts her, questioning how long she can evade it. Inside the cave, Elodie finds names of many girls, hinting at past sacrifices. Exhausted by these revelations, she falls asleep. Upon waking, she finds the insects she had collected now resting on her wound. Startled, she watches as they miraculously heal her injury. Realizing the insects' healing powers, she continues her journey with them. Eventually, she stumbles upon a map etched on a small stone, guiding her on how to escape from this place. After that, she desperately wanted to leave this place, but the path was obstructed by large rocks. She would have perished on one of those stones, but she lacked the courage. With great difficulty, she managed to climb up and eventually found a way out. However, this location was extremely perilous. There was no way to descend from the mountain's peak. Now, she was in tears. She longed to scream at someone, but no one could hear her from such a height. Suddenly, she heard the sound of galloping horses, and at the same time, the dragon appeared before her. Before the dragon could attack her again, Elodie entered the cave, where the dragon informed her that no one had ever managed to escape from this place, no matter how hard they tried. "I will capture you," the dragon declared. Just then, Elodie heard her father's voice echoing from the cave below. As soon as she heard his voice, the dragon flew up and down to confront Elodie's father. From there, Elodie also descended to reach her father. Along the way, she noticed a vast amount of gold and 3 shattered dragon eggs. Observing these items, she realized that the story the queen had told her was only partially true and partially false. The dragon had indeed killed its own offspring. In reality, when the king had ventured into this cave many years ago, he had discovered 3 dragon eggs, from which 3 dragons had hatched. The king had slain the offspring of these dragons, and the dragon was seeking revenge ever since, showing the king pleading for his life before the dragon. The dragon had responded by saying that it also wanted to witness the king's suffering. It demanded 3 children from each generation as sacrifices. Only after taking these sacrifices would the dragon allow the king and his kingdom to live in peace. The scene returned to the present, where Elodie's father called out to his daughter. The dragon appeared before him, and he declared that he had come to retrieve his daughter. He was prepared to fight the dragon if necessary. The dragon challenged him, saying, "Then call your daughter here." Elodie's father shouts, "Elodie, wherever you are, stay away!" Upon hearing this, the dragon becomes enraged and impales one of its claws into Elodie's father's chest. Witnessing her father's death before her eyes, Elodie lets out a scream, which distracts the dragon. She quickly moves to the other side to search for Elodie, and when she gets the chance, Elodie approaches her father, who tells her, "I am dying because of my sins, but you must stay alive. Go! Your mother and sister are waiting for you on our ship." With those words, he takes his last breath, and Elodie proceeds to move forward and leave the place. Using the chain that brought them there, Elodie starts ascending, while the dragon continues to observe her. Dodging the dragon's fire attacks repeatedly, she manages to escape from the cave somehow. Now, she sits on her father's horse and flees from there. The dragon chases her. She dismounts the horse and hides in the mountains. In this way, she remains unseen by the dragon, who in anger burns her horse. In a distant palace, the queen witnesses everything. She too is furious and declares that all of this is happening because of Elodie, and she will rectify everything. On the ship, Elodie's sister, who was observing the fire in the mountains, is suddenly confronted by the queen, who kidnaps her. The queen's plan is to offer Elodie's sister as a sacrifice to the dragon in order to save her kingdom from the dragon's wrath. Elodie's mother, attempting to save her daughter, is stabbed and taken captive. The following day, Elodie arrives at the ship, where she finds her injured mother, who reassures Elodie, saying, "I am perfectly fine. I will take care of myself. Go, find your sister, who is about to be sacrificed in front of the dragon in your place." At this moment, Elodie informs her mother that their father has also passed away. After sharing this news, she immediately heads towards the cave, because she knew that the queen would have taken her sister to the cave, where the queen cuts her hand, and Elodie's sister's hand, mixes her blood with her blood, and throws it in the pit below, and the dragon catches Elodie's sister. Elodie had also reached the cave by this time, but no one knew about her, because before she went to the dragon, she was preparing herself. First of all, she brings a lot of shining insects with her, and takes her dad's sword with some weapons in the cave, which could have been useful in fighting the dragon. It is shown in the scene that the dragon has not killed Elodie's sister yet. She was sitting with her dead children, and was telling Elodie's sister that your elders killed my children, and now I will kill their daughter. Meanwhile, Elodie's trap to distract the dragon works, so that the dragon knows she is coming. And as soon as the dragon goes to the other side to find her, Elodie comes to her sister. Before Elodie saves her sister and takes her away, the dragon comes here again. Elodie tells the dragon that we were lied to. We were told that you attacked their kingdom, but the truth was that they killed your children. The dragon says, whatever it is, if they are your elders, then I will take their revenge from you. Elodie says, no, we are not their children. Before Elodie says anything else to the dragon attacks her with its fire to save herself. When Elodie turns back, she falls into the water. She was in a lot lot of pain now, the dragon grabs her again and injures her with his nail. And this time, to save herself from a big loss, Elodie attacked her eye. The dragon was angry with this attack as she throws Elodie away and attacks her with her fire. But the dragon's own fire started burning her by colliding with the stones there. The dragon was severely injured from the burning, and Elodie pointed out the wound on her hand to him. Similarly, he shared his blood with them, making them royal blood, and offered it to them. They are not their offspring. They live in peace and sacrifice innocent girls like them. You did not do anything good for them. Just as they killed your children, you are also killing someone else's children. Upon learning the truth, the dragon becomes very sad and tells Elodie that his punishment should be death. So, he asks her to kill him. However, Elodie refuses to do so. She then places the small insects she had collected from the cave on the dragon to heal his wounds. Elodie reveals that the real traitors are the prince and queen of the kingdom. Meanwhile, the prince was planning to sacrifice another girl like her in front of the dragon as a wedding gift. Elodie discloses the truth and urges the dragon to flee. She then warns everyone to save themselves, stating that she is not alone. Just as she says this, a flying dragon appears in the sky above the palace. The dragon had already destroyed the entire palace along with the royal family. His revenge was now complete. In the final scene of the story, Elodie, her sister, and her mother are seen in the kingdom, preparing to return to their own kingdom. Elodie assures her mother that she is confident she will take over the kingdom's treasure and rule it well in place of her father, and they head back to their kingdom, with the dragon accompanying them as Elodie's dragon. And with that, the story comes to an end.